And to those of you who are watching online, have you ever been in a situation or experienced some circumstances where God, felt like you were being attacked from every angle? You were being attacked from every side. You were being attacked physically. You were being attacked spiritually. You were being attacked emotionally. Have you ever been there where you have asked God to do something about what you're going through, but it seems that he has went silent? Have you ever been there where you've asked God to move you from where you were, but he said, no, you shall remain? And you may ask the question, why am I remaining where I am? Because the position of your thorn does not determine the position of his grace. The position of your thorn does not determine the position of his grace. In other words, I like this because what we see happening in the text here, we see that there's a purpose for our thorn. We see that there is a position of our thorn, but we also see that there is providence in our thorns. Yeah, we also see that there is provision for our thorns. And you may say, Hollie, what is the provision for our thorns? Can I tell you what the provision for your thorns is? This is what he said. He said, man, I talked to God. I asked God, will he take this thorn away? I can just see the Apostle Paul now going to talk to a counselor. I can just see him going to talk to a therapist. And maybe there was a counselor or therapist who was not a Christian counselor or therapist. And they may be telling Paul, well, man, maybe if you try this thorn will be removed. Maybe if you love Jesus a little bit harder, this thorn will be removed. Maybe if you give a little bit more during the offering, this thorn will be removed. Maybe if you spend a little bit more time in prayer, this thorn will be removed. Maybe if you start walking right and not sinning, this thorn will be removed. But Paul says, I already prayed to God and I asked him, but what God told me was not any of that what you told me. What God said to me, this is what Paul says in verse 9, and he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. Now, I know this goes against popular 2022 evangelistic TikTok theology. I know this goes against popular evangelistic 2022 Facebook theology. I know this goes against popular evangelistic 2022 Instagram and Snapchat theology. Because in other words, you will hear a preacher say every once in a while, by this time tomorrow, your situation gonna change. By this time tomorrow, if you sow this, you gonna get that. By this time tomorrow, God is getting ready to turn your situation around. Well, I want to tell you right here, right now, God did not turn Paul's situation around. He didn't turn it around. I'm not lying. The Bible says, he said he pleaded with him 3 times to take it away. But what did Jesus say? God said, my grace is sufficient for you. In other words, don't miss this. In other words, that grace here is speaking of a covering. To be covered up. In other words, what we understand here is that though my thorn may be in my flesh, though the thorn may be messing with my mind, though the thorn may be messing with my spirit, man, God's grace will cover me. In other words, as his grace covers me, it would keep me to stand firm from the fiery darts of the enemy. In other words, as his grace covers me, what I will see is not the focus on my thorn, but what I will focus on is his grace. In other words, what God was telling Paul is that I know this thorn hurts. I know that it's getting on your everlasting nerve. But what I want to let you know today is that my grace is sufficient, is that my grace is enough. And in other words, what he wanted Paul to understand is that no matter what it is you're going through, no matter what the pain you're dealing with, no matter the turmoil that you may be in, understand that my grace is enough to keep you covered. My grace is enough to keep you filled. Is there anybody in here that's thankful for the grace of God? Is there anybody in here that's thankful that his grace has kept you and his grace has covered you and his grace connects you to his glory? Is there anybody here who is thankful that we can mess some stuff up? Yes, we can go the wrong way, but because of God's grace, we can stand up firm and know that God will deliver us, and God will take care of us, and God will see us through. But for the grace of God, but for the mercy of God, I would not